All right, we're live. Hey, thanks for joining us here on King's Boxing. Once again on our weekly podcast. Our feature this week is, of course, trainers. And I talk about two young trainers, but these guys ain't too young, but they do have a lot of knowledge. And I love to hear what they have to say about training boxers and what they think is going on with this whole coronavirus and how it's held things up and what their plans are next. So I'm going to turn it on to my partner, Andrew Foy. Andrew, take it away.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. So our guest tonight is two top trainers in the sport. We have Mr. Troy Fox, who just walked away from the camera.
Mr. Troy Fox.
He is the trainer of his sons, Mike Fox and Alantez Fox, who are both, I believe, world-ranked contenders. He also trains Greg Outlaw and Luther Smith. And then we also have Steve Breadman Edwards, trainer of Julian J. Rock Williams, Tyrone Davis, and Romwell Cruz. So thanks, guys, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
So for any audience watching, if you want to ask any questions live as we're on, just shoot them to us and we'll ask the trainers. But just to start off, guys, would you, I'll start with Troy and then Steve, you can answer next, but what is your background in sports and athletics? And then how did you get into coaching boxing?
I took Ted. I think Ted was like eight years old. I took him to the gym, and it was Vardell McCann. Rest in peace. A lot of guys around here know who that is. He passed, but I took him there, and I just assisted, and eventually he really didn't want to travel. He just kind of wanted to do local stuff with Ted. So we eventually we split, but it started from there. I learned from Vardell McCann, and you know, I'm just an open-minded person who can learn from anybody. You know, what to do or what not to do, and try to put it with my thing in boxing, you know, my coaching skills. So I started off really under somebody, and then you know, and then it went from there. As far as experience, I mean, you know, I played sports as a kid, you know, but right around high school, I probably stopped.
What kind of sports did you play, Troy?
Baseball, football, bowling, basketball. I mean,
wow.
As a kid, I played it all.
Were you on the bench or did you start?
No, I always, when it got to the point, now to be honest, I'm honest, when it got to the point where my skills, you know, you get to high school, it's only 12 guys. When it got to the point where my skills couldn't do anything, yeah, it was time to quit. You know what I'm saying? I quit before I ride the bench. So
I said, man, if I'm riding the bench, I'm done.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't even go for the high school team. I think I played boys club ball my 9th grade year in high school, and that was probably the last year I played organized sport.
And what about boxing? Did you box growing up?
No.
So you pretty much learned as you put your sons in the sport.
Right.
Okay. A couple other famous father trainers have learned that way.
Yeah, I mean, normally it's normally, I'm pretty sure all of them probably took them somewhere and then took over. I don't know if it's any that just, I mean, it's some probably just started, but just the first one was just by themselves. So a lot of them probably started under somewhere and then said, man, I think I can do a better job than what's going on. But I don't think any of them just said, hey, let's get some pads. I think I want to try this boxing thing. And, I mean, yeah, there are some out there, but they're not that successful. You need somebody at least to show you the ropes of amateur boxing and just show you, and then you can take over. Show you the ups and downs first, then you can take over.
How about you, Steve? What's your background?
You know what's funny? Last night, a guy who I met, I guess he does some kind of reporting. He Googled my name because he knows people that I went to high school with, and he was asking me like, "Did you play?" And I was like, "Yeah, man. You know, I drop numbers, you know, in Philadelphia Public League." So he just sent me about like 10 newspaper clippings on me, you know, scoring a lot of points in Philadelphia Public League. I went to George Washington. So I played a lot of sports. I played basketball. I played football. I didn't play football in high school. I played football when I was younger. But I played basketball, football, and baseball and I hurt my knee my senior year basketball, and I started boxing. Ironically, Kevin Carmody and Kenny Mason, Julian Williams, first trainer, which were training me, and I stopped, messing around in the streets, doing different things I shouldn't have been doing, working jobs, and just a lot of different things that's not conducive to being a fighter. But I still had like a lot of energy and things like that in me. So I was going back and forth to the gym, and then in my mid to late 20s, I just stopped going altogether. And then I ran into Julian Williams around 2007, 2008. I had a fight party, and he was thinking about turning pro. He wanted to go out for the Olympic trials. He was kind of young though; he was about 18, and I think he maybe he lost to Earl Spence or something like that. And he doubled back, and he asked me to start helping him out, and then kind of took a life of his own, and I started doing well with him, and eventually I started training him by myself, and then in 2000 I started training him in 2010 officially. 2012, I started training them by myself. And then, I started getting other fighters like Karan Davis, Romeo Cruz. I have Zachary Ochoa now. And, that's pretty much what it is right now.
I'll put this question to both of you guys. I know I haven't seen Troy behind the scenes. I've seen you at fights and in your son's corner. But Steve, I've seen you a couple of times at Schuler's when I had taken Jamal down there and he did some work with Julian. I was always impressed. You seemed like a very intellectual type coach. And I think Troy strikes me as the same way, but you're not really a yeller. You're not in your face. You're more just, you talk to your fighters, you try to explain what you want. And would you say that your style is pretty unique for trainers out there, or how would you say? Because I haven't seen too many people that are quite as calm in the corner.
You think I'm calm, man?
You
It's you know what? It's you really can't confine it to one particular like personality or like a specific description, because there's been times where I've yelled at guys, you just wasn't in the gym on that particular day. There's some times where you have to raise your voice. There's some times where you have to be calm. It really just depends on the day. If Julian was having a good day and he was listening, there's no reason for me to get upset, but it's times where I got to get upset. Karan's kind of kid, he breaks your heart or he does great. So it depends on what day he's in there, what he's doing. For the most part, in the corner for a fight, I try not to get too low, try not to get too high. You know what I mean? Because the fight under the bright light, the guy's adrenaline is pumping, and you'll be surprised that, it's not really the pace of a fight that burns a guy out. It's the anxiety of it, of everybody being there, scoring the fight under the, with the judges there. You don't want to lose rounds. So in the gym where you can relax and take your time and nobody's scoring the rounds in a real fight, you gotta, there's a higher level of anxiety, and guys don't catch their second wind right. So I try to, stay as relaxed as I can and calm in the corner. So, it really just depends on what day that you catch me on. But overall, you kind of give off a certain energy to your fighter. And if he feel a scared, nervous energy about you, then he may pick up on that. I'm a firm believer in that. So, I try to keep an even kill. But sometimes, you got to raise your voice at a guy, let them know, if they sleepwalking, because every day is not the same. Some days, guys just don't have it, and you got to pick them up and, really get in their face. Troy has a better luxury than I do because he has his sons. So in boxing, you can, everybody thinks the father-son teams don't work, but I actually think that they do, because the father-son team, you can discipline your son differently. See, with a fighter that's not your son, if you discipline him, he could fire you. You know what I mean? I've seen Danny Garcia's dad smack him in the face. You smack a kid in the face in boxing, then you might not have a job no more. And when you put certain kind of work in for a long period of time, who wants to lose, a $50,000 or $100,000 job? You know what I'm saying? That's what coaches make at the top level in one night. So Marshall knows. So
I've
you
been
don't want.
fired already.
So you don't want to.
We were in camp and Travis fired me.
Yeah. So yeah, but you know what though? Like it's. Don't get me wrong.
But you're right though, Steve. Seriously, you're right.
I'm not scared to ever lose my job with a fighter. I'll tell a fighter some things that he might not like. But when a father, that being able to discipline a kid, because that's the biggest problem that we all face: weight, discipline, things like that. So being able to discipline the kid is a little bit different when you're actually their father. You know what I mean? Because I got a good relationship with all my fighters, but they don't like some of the things that I might have to say, and I could lose my job. Where Marshall, guess what? And Troy, y'all still gonna be Alantez's and Mike's dad and Travis's dad, no matter what. And then you always have a part of their career. I've seen some relationships in boxing where things go kind of sour if you tell a fighter some things that you don't want to hear. So this is a thankless job, man.
No, you're right. You're right. And you know what, Andrew, you picked up on that because they both are very calm in the corner. They really are. And I mean, maybe there's been other fights that I haven't seen them work the corner where they've lost their cool. But I mean, I've been around Troy for a lot of fights. I've been around Steve, and they both are very calm in the corner. What can you say about that, Troy?
I mean, it has its ups and its downs. The thing is, eventually you have to learn to separate boxing from the life. Otherwise, that relationship would tear up. And you got to realize, I mean, even with my sons, I had to realize you train them since they're 8, but at some time, just like in regular life, you have to let them go and realize. And I told another coach this. I said, you don't realize that I work for these guys now. They're my boss. And he was a father too, and he disagreed. Nah, hell no, I'll never work for him. I'm like, you just don't realize it. But I mean, they don't need your signature on any of his contracts. They don't need that. You work for him. But when you realize that, it gets a little calm. But I think as far as in the corner, it comes with maturity, because I looked at some videotapes of when they were little kids and I could just hear me yelling. I was kind of ashamed. I was like turning the volume down, like, shit, what is this? I'm yelling, acting all crazy. And then you just realize after you've been matured, it's not that serious. Like I see fathers come in with their sons, they're like 8, 9 years old. And I want to say, Joe, and they're like, oh yeah, he's going to be a world champion. I'm like, Joe, you just don't know the road it's going to take to get him there. And even if he wants to box by the time he's 14 and 15, I had a kid who won everything, and I had him from 7 years old on to 14. When he got 14 years old, he told his father, I don't want to do it no more, and stopped.
Do you guys notice though that, I mean, I know you don't work with a lot of different guys, but it's different with different boxers. For instance, when I had Cintron, I would never, ever have to yell at Cintron. I mean, if I said jab, he jabbed. If I said throw a right hand, he threw a right hand. With my son, and maybe with a few others, man, I've lost my cool. I often wonder, hold on, is my pastor watching me on TV here? You know what I mean? Or in the corner, like, seriously, like I've lost my cool. So I had to, evaluate what I was doing as a trainer and how I approached every fighter differently. Have you noticed that, Steve? Like you handle J-Rock different than what you handle Chiron.
What's funny, Marsh? You are 100% right. It's days where I know Julian's not going to listen to me. He just has a look in his eye where he's just not going to listen. And then there's days where he picks up everything that I say, and what I try to do is I try to have a really good memory and remember my delivery for the times that he listened to me, because some fighters are really, really, really hard-headed like that. And some are like Kuko, Romeo Cruz.
Right.
If you tell him to fight on a handstand, that's what he'll do. He has no problem following any type of instruction. You know what I mean? Where Karan kind of freelances a little bit, and Julian, it just really depends on the mood that he's in. I got a kid named Zachary Ochoa now from New York, and he's kind of like Romeo Cruz. Whatever you tell him, he tries it. You know what I mean? But every fighter is different. That's just how they wire. You know, a lot of things factor into that. You know, just natural personality. You know, how they was raised. You know, if a fighter has a military background or strict parents, there's a whole lot of things that factor into that. But I definitely noticed that you gotta kind of get your delivery down for each fighter, because some fighters are hard-headed. Like Karan will be like, all right, I'm gonna try it, but I see something. Let me see if I can get, and I'll say, okay. And we got that kind of communication.
Right, which is good.
Yeah, you know, and you know, with Julian, he'll just you'll tell him to do something and then he'll try it like 2 rounds later. And I'm like, man, I didn't ask you to do it 2 rounds later. I asked you to do it right now. You know what I'm saying? And then some days he'll try it. And then you know, the thing that I've noticed the most about Julian is that when you tell him to do something, he has to have success in it immediately or he'll get away from it. You know, so if I pick up a shot on him, if he gets that shot, we okay. You know what I mean? But if he don't see the shot or he don't see what I'm talking about, then we're gonna have some trouble. So you just gotta kind of learn and communicate with your fighter. You know what I'm saying? And when I see guys train 10, 15 guys, I'll be like, man, there's no way you can know all of those guys, man.
Yeah, right.
Because you learning, you almost learning 10, 15 different languages, you know, but to each his own.
Yeah, no, isn't that the truth? It's funny. My son sent a message on the King's Boxing saying, "Tell them how you are in the corner." I was like, man, but yeah. What about you, Troy? Is Alantez different from Mike in the corner?
I tell you what. One day Luther was in the gym, and he was talking to Tez. See, one thing is, Tez was always successful, and to me, it's hard to train. It's harder to train a winning fighter than it is a losing, because no matter what you say to him, he won, and everybody's a good job. So it's harder because he gets used to winning and he gets used to what he's doing, and we all know there's different levels. So yeah, this might work with him, but it might not work when you get to another level. So anyway, Luther was like, he said, man, I watched your father coach you, and I watched him coach Mike. And he said, man, when Mike's in the ring, it's almost like a video game. It's like your father got the control. It's like we work at a jail pace. That's why with a lot of the fights with Mike, it's I could be calm, you know what I'm saying? But when Tez like I recognize exactly what Bread said. If it doesn't come right away, he doesn't have the patience. Whereas Mike has a lot more patience, you know. The truth of the matter is, man, I mean, when Mike was younger, man, you know, I watched Mike take some beatings, man. Mike worked hard to get to where he is. He just wasn't into boxing, but he didn't want to quit when he was a kid. Right. Now he's more into it, and he's running, he's doing everything he has to do. But he probably remembers how it used to be, and he's like, I'm not going back. Like that one loss, it almost changed him completely as a person, as a fighter, everything. It changed him. So, but you know, you got some guys that, like if Mike loses or Mike gets hit with a punch, in his mindset, he says, I'm not gonna get hit with that again. That's bottom line. Tez get hit with a punch, and his mindset is, but I bet you I can hit you harder with my punch than you hit with that punch. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna challenge it. Mike's not, he don't want you to get away with that. He's not, so it's different styles, and everybody in the gym just has a different demeanor. You just have to realize it's like people, how you can talk to some people and how you can't. It's like the relationship. And that's why I feel even with fathers, and I think it's hard to judge whether or not father-son relationships work, because you don't know the total of failures when it came to father. I've seen a lot of fathers train their own sons and don't have the luck. But I've told them, I had guys come to my gym and they're talking and talking. I'm like, Joe, would you like to train him? I mean, I'll help you, or I can train him. But there's no need for you to be whispering stuff in his ear and telling him stuff that's not going what I'm saying. Just take over. That's what I had to do. So do the same thing. Otherwise, you're really just going to confuse him in the long run, and he's going to have to make a choice on who he wants to listen to. So, you know, some of those father relationships work good, and some of them, they don't work at all. They don't work at all. So we can see the upper tier of the success stories, but there's a lot of fathers that train their sons that do good, and you can see them rising, and some that just do bad. I really just think it's the relationship.
Hey, Steve, have you ever noticed maybe in your process of like training Julian or Chiron, like guys are different. Like I remember with Kermit, I would show him something, right? And Kermit would like pick up on it right away, right? And then maybe forget it 2 days later. And then there was other guys that wouldn't pick it up except for like maybe 2 days later. But once they remembered it for always, always. You know what I mean? Have you ever noticed that with some of your guys?
Yeah. You guys ever see Julian rip a guy's guard down and
Pull
he
down.
Yeah.
comes around with a shot?
Yeah.
Man, I tried to teach him that move for about 3 years. He would never do it. And then one day he did it, and now I can't stop him from doing it. That bump move that he knocked Jared Hurd down with, same
Right.
exact thing. Over and over, I'm trying to teach him to move. I'm like, man, don't let these guys tie you up. You're a good inside fighter. Don't let them tie you up. You're a good inside fighter. We going over the move. And he didn't get it. He don't pick up things fast, but once he gets them, he got them. But
Right.
one thing I understand that you can't rush a guy on when he's going to learn something. You know what I mean? It kind of gotta be like cultivated. He's gonna pick it up because you can't really say to a guy, I want you to do this in the fight under live pressure when he's getting punched in the face. It's something that it just has to click one day. So you just gotta keep practicing it over and over again, and then one day it'll just click. You know what I mean? Because to ask a guy, oh, I want you to do this bump move, it doesn't work that way. It's something that he has to see, and just subconsciously it just has to click. So I've noticed that it takes longer for certain guys to get things, but once they get them, I believe in drilling guys over and over and over and over
Repetition.
again. Yeah, over and over and over again. Sometimes we work on the same move for like an hour. You know what I mean? Because when you see it in the fight, you won't have to think. I won't have to ask for it. It'll just come off.
Right. It's so nice when, as a trainer, when you do that and you work on that same move over and over and over again, because you've watched tapes on the fighter that you're about to fight. And then you work on it, you work on it, you work on it. And they might not do it in the gym at all. And then come fight time, when they do it, man, is it a good feeling as a trainer. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, okay. So I can remember, I mean, a number of fights with Kermit, especially because he was such a good student that
He's a big puncher too.
oh, and he would do things, you know what I mean? Like I remember against Teddy Reed, we worked on sliding to the right over and over again and popping the jab. And not many fighters can jab as they're moving to the right. They like to jab as they're moving to the left, but not moving to the right. And he did over and over again. Then there was another one when he fought his first southpaw, actually his second southpaw, first southpaw in Saeed Awali. And he fought him on short box. And Saeed Awali was a southpaw who was in the Olympics. And the punch that we worked on was I wanted him to drop the right hand at the right shoulder. So every time Saeed would jab, to shoot the right hand right at his shoulder, so it would open him up for the left hook. And I like kept, asking him for first, second, third round. Finally, in the fourth round, he landed it, and it was a wrap. And then he ended up stopping him. But when you see that happen, man, doesn't it feel good as a trainer? You know what I mean? Because you've worked on it over and over again.
Oh man, it's the best feeling in the world, man. Against Jared Hurd, we kept working on that hook that he dropped Hurd with. We worked on it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Julian seen it in the second round. I'm like, ain't no way we losing this fight. He seen the exact shot that we kept working on. It's an awesome feeling, man. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
I wanted to ask both of you guys, and give it to Troy first, but obviously this is a weird time right now with the coronavirus, and there's so much uncertainty about when things are going to get back going again, and I see that there's fighters that are still training, but they're not, nobody's probably doing exactly what they were before. What have you used this time to do or to train, or have you kind of just encouraged your fighters to work on other things right now?
My guys are basically just running right now because, we had a little meeting between, I guess, me, Tez, Mike, and Outlaw. That's the core of the gym. And it was like, man, it's not we don't know the gist of this. So let's just wait. You know what I'm saying? It's not like nothing's going to really happen. It ain't like you can get no spawn, but they're all working. I see Outlaw works in his garage. I mean, Mike was running. I think they're doing more running than anything else, and they're still doing their strength conditioning virtual with their strength conditioning coach. But right now, it's just at a standstill, really. I mean, you could try to muscle your way. I said when it gets warm, we're going to do some outside things and get back to, you know, working the pads a little bit. But we just wanted to calm down a little bit until we got at least a little bit of what's really going on. You know, I'd hate to have guys in the gym. Next thing I know, 2 of my fighters get sick with the corona. And so we kind of just decided, you know, as a group that we would chill a little bit. They're going to do their running outside. They're going to do their exercise and stay in shape. But other than that, yeah, we haven't really been able to use the gym.
What about you, Steve?
You know, I've been basically telling guys, man, just stay in shape. You know, this is, you know, integrity, man, is a big part. Like a boxing, do you do the right thing when nobody else is looking? You know, nobody knows anything about this disease. You know, we've had some trainers that caught it. I got 2 little kids. You don't know who's asymptomatic. I don't try to outsmart the doctors and everybody else that's way more highly qualified than I am to diagnose this disease. So I just been telling everybody, stay in shape, man. If you run every other day, you know, you do your shadow boxing, your jump roping, you got some kind of reflex ball, and you do your push-ups, your sit-ups, your dips, and your pull-ups, you'll stay in shape. You know what I mean? You don't have to spar or hit pads with your coach. You know what I mean? You should stay in shape. So if these guys want it, they're gonna stay in shape. I had a fight on March the 7th with Zachary Ochoa. I came back. I was training Cruz and Romeo Cruz and Karan a little bit, and then everything got shut down. And you know, this may sound corny, but I've been following the rules of the quarantine, man. I haven't been in the gym. You know what I mean? I think Buster Custis, the owner of the gym that we train, I think he caught it. You know what I mean? So I haven't been in the gym, man. I just been you know, I hit them up periodically to see how everybody's doing. But if they want it, then you got to stay in shape, because when you know, you might not get 8 weeks to train once everything gets back to normal. You know what I mean? But I haven't seen any of them since you know, since the quarantine has been in effect.
Steve, I think you took it to another level because it looks like you're staying in the closet.
Yeah, I am standing in the closet.
Yeah.
I am, man. I am standing in the closet, man. I'm in my bedroom, but yeah,
I see all those nice shirts behind you, man.
Yeah,
cut it
yeah.
out. Cut it out.
So, hey,
So,
coming
you know,
up
with that,
as
well,
a coach,
I was gonna say with that, you know, the UFC just did the fights, right? You know, the night of the fight or a few days before the fights, one of the fights got canceled because one of the guys came down with tested positive for corona.
right? Him and his coaches.
Yeah, so I mean, and the way they're saying, oh yeah, you got to stay in a hotel. It's a lot on a fighter. If he's gonna go almost to jail. The only thing you can order is food from the hotel, or and you can't do his. So that's already putting the fight on a bad diet for his fight, because now he's trying to survive off carry out and Uber Eats and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And then nobody can leave. I mean, I just hope it blows through so we can have some normality to all this, because it's getting crazy now. It's getting, you know, this is some life-changing historical events where we one day will look back and say, man, you remember that time we all had to stay in the house, you know, for about a couple
right.
months?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No,
Last time something like this happened was 1918. So nobody's alive to, you know, give us, you know, that dealt with the Spanish flu. This is serious, man.
Yeah, no, you guys are right, man. It's definitely something that we'll remember for the rest of our life.
Definitely.
Yeah. Hey, when you guys were, Steve, who is it that you looked up to as a trainer, or maybe still look up to? Because you know we all kind of learn on the job. No one lays out a blueprint for you on how to become a boxing trainer, because every boxer is different. Who is it though that, Steve, if anyone, that you looked up to as a trainer as you started training boxers?
That's a really good question. I remember things that all good trainers have told me. I don't know if you remember this, Marshall, but Julian was boxing one of your guys before. I forget his name. Guy from good middleweight fighter from up north, Massachusetts somewhere. Elvin Ayala.
Elvin Ayala.
And you told me something. You said, man, me and him was practicing a move, and you said, Steve, don't ever let him take his eye off the opponent. And we had practiced the move, and you said that's the #1 rule. You got to keep your eye on the opponent at all the time. I think he had rolled under his shot, and he lost contact with me. And I'm sure you probably don't remember saying that to me, but that always stuck in
I
my
don't.
mind. Yeah, so I got a weird memory, so I remember things like that, and I remember, him and Ayala had some nasty sparring sessions.
Yeah, right. It was fun.
They was bumping, so I don't know if I've ever like looked up to a trainer, but I remember little things like that a trainer tells me in good faith. Because boxing, man, these trainers, they talk about everybody and everybody's better than everybody, and it's just crazy. But Emmanuel Stewart, I got to meet him. Julian Fort and AC, and we talked for a really long time. And the kid Julian was fighting. His name was Hector Rosario. And he stayed on Emmanuel Stewart's floor. So he invited Emmanuel Stewart to the fight to come see it. And Julian put on a great show. Me and him talked for about 2 hours, man, about a lot of different things. So that was a great, a great experience. And it was on a Bernard Hopkins, Chad Dawson rematch. And he wound up passing right after that. But we had a great conversation. Nazem Richardson, somebody that I used to talk to frequently. He would come to our fights, just surprises, and just come in the dressing room. And I would say maybe my closest trainer in boxing is Virgil Hunter. Me and him have actually like talked about X's and O's and talked about what to do in certain situations. So if there's one person that I've always admired the relationship he had with Andre Ward, and when people try to discredit their relationship and say Ward will be good with anybody, and I just say, man, you don't know how much a trainer has to go through to get a guy, basically to the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? I don't care how naturally talented we think a fighter is. There's so many different things that you got to go through, and there's guys that's really naturally talented that never make it. So, those three trainers, I really, I admired, and just things like what you told me, Marshall. I was a young trainer in the game, and it stuck with me. Different things that Kevin Carmody may have used to tell me when I was boxing in his gym. Just different things that guys tell me is kind of how I solve problems in the ring right now to this day, because I kind of retain all of the good information that I ever got.
Right. Well, and I'm not saying this because you're on the Zoom chat with us, Steve, but in all honesty, I look up to you as a trainer, and I think that you're one of the best trainers in the game right now today. And I mean
Appreciate that, man.
because when I looked at trainers coming up, Emmanuel Stewart was the one that I would try to understand what he did in the corner. I never knew what he did in the camp because I wasn't there in camp with him. But the adjustments I seen that he made in the corner and how he related with his fighters was special. And I think that you had that same type of relationship with your fighters and that same type of demeanor. And Virgil Hunter's another one that you say, and I can see that, but I really see that. I mean that. We were talking last week. We had Rashad Brown on and Greg Hackett on, and Rashad said the same thing, how he looks up to Virgil Hunter if there was anybody like that. So no, I do, and I mean that. You really have done an awesome job, and you're great with it. And the same goes for Troy. Troy, who is it that you looked up to as you were learning? Because there's a lot of good trainers in the DMV area.
I won't say looked up to, but I'm the type of person that pays attention to everybody. Like I've been to Bread's gym, Tez and Julian, and I'm not the kind of guy that walks in here and is like, oh, he don't know what he's doing. We better do it. I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna pay attention to everything that's going on. I might pay attention he might have Julian doing push-ups a certain way, and I might ask. I think they was telling us about the rice one time when we went in there. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of
Troy, we had you in camp. We had Tez in camp for Hugo Centeno fight. I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I just look and I watch, and I kind of don't look down. Let's say that instead of saying who do I look up to, I try not to look down on any coaches, because I know that even the successful coaches, for every world champion, is 20 guys he had that didn't work out. Majority of the time, you got some guys that just didn't work out with you. You know what I'm saying? That your chemistry, the chemistry just wasn't there. And if you don't have that chemistry with that fighter, like it's really like, how can you really have somebody in your corner that you can count on if you don't respect them? So I kind of look at, going back to what you said, I kind of look at everybody. I mean, from been around Burry, I've been in a camp when I was in, when he had Steve Cunningham, and then Tony Thompson was going up there. You know what I'm saying? I've watched your fights, Marshall. I watched how you wanna. I watch everybody, and I just try to pick what I can use and what I can't use. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe I don't like that, but I like when he does the way he does this, or I like the way he does that, because everybody does something different. So I'm not really the type that says, yeah, he can't coach or he can't coach, because really the proof is in the pudding.
Correct.
If your guys are winning, then you're doing something right. If they're losing, because you got some guys that might have all the boxing knowledge in the world, but they can't relate to people. And that's why, to me, if you ever think about it, that's why, with exception like Georgie Benton, he was a good fighter that became a coach, but you never see like Floyd. To me, Floyd Mayweather, and it's my personal opinion, probably wouldn't make a good boxing coach, because he wouldn't understand why you can't do the things that he could do, because I can do them. If you got to understand what your fighter is capable of, the same with Michael Jordan, he probably wouldn't make a good basketball coach, because he's not going to understand why you can't make this shot, why you can't do the things. Like, even on his show now, he's ready to punch you in your face. You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's the chemistry, and I'll go with anybody. I mean, a guy could have some losing fighters, and I could be looking at him, and I'm even looking to see why these guys are losing, or it could be one or two things that, like, if they just did this right here, this kid could be good. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if I look up to anybody. I just look up to everybody and don't look down on nobody. Let me say
that's a good point, because I remember Brother Nazim talking about how only in boxing do you hear it where one coach talks bad about another coach. You don't hear it in the NFL. You don't hear it in the NBA. You don't hear it in the MLB where they're downplaying other coaches. Only in boxing. So I mean, that's great that you said that, Troy.
It's crazy because, Marsh, you know what? You're right. Nazem actually has told me, they said, man, them guys in the NFL and the NBA don't do this. You know, and I was sitting around shoulders and I would look around. I was a young coach, this was 2010, 2011. And I'm like, why everybody in here so cocky? Nazem the only one that had a world champion. He the only one that made $100,000 in the night. He the only one that got $1 million fighter. Why everybody in here swear they're in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah,
and you're right, man. Guys get on social media. They put everybody down. They always got something to say. And I always be looking like, man, unless you got like world champion type credentials, unless you done made 50 and $100,000 in a night, produced a million different dudes, why? Because guess what, Marsh? It really come down to if that's your night or not. If your guy is on that night. You know what I mean? So I never, ever disrespected one coach, because, man, a hungry coach is a dangerous coach, man. You got a guy that's sitting up studying you all the time. Marsh, I know you remember this. They used to be talking to that boy Keenan Collins fighting Julian when Julian was a pup. And I used to be like, when I would get a call from a matchmaker with that fight, I'm like, you know what, man? Marshall Kauffman, a good coach. We don't need to be fucking around with them unless we got to. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't disrespect no coach, because a coach might pick up something on your fighter that only you know. You know what I mean? And he might let the secret out. You know what I'm saying? And I watch these coaches always be so disrespectful towards each other and think they know everything. And I just shake my head and say, man, the top level will humble you, and it's going to show you that you do not know everything, bro. You know what I mean? I watch that so much. You will never, ever hear me disrespect another coach or fighter or grandstand and act like, because it's not true. It really comes down to if your guy is on that night and what kind of work you put in on camp. Is nobody perfect in this game. Emmanuel Stewart looked at as the best coach of all time. He lost his 2 biggest fights by knockout.
Yeah, right.
How crazy is that? Hearns against Hagler, Hearns against Leonard. He lost his 2 biggest fights by knockout. Anybody could lose in this game, man. And these guys, they get to do 8-0, man, and they start bragging. I'm like, what y'all talking about? The dude only making $2,500.
Yeah.
God damn, man. It's like, I don't know. This is the only sport that's like this, man. A little teeny bit of success turn people into, like, you get so many cocky coaches, man. That's why I do it most of my shit by myself.
I know it's a little different with this next question I have, but like, especially for Troy, because most of Troy's boxers that he trained are 2 of his own sons. But I remember a guy in boxing told me many years ago not to get attached to the boxer. He says, because you get heartbroken. They said that, have you experienced that yet, Steve? Where you've gotten heartbroken by a fighter? Because I've definitely experienced throughout the years, you know what I mean? Where you feel like
That's a
you've
great
taken a fighter
question.
to a certain level, and next thing you know, they're looking to see if the grass is greener over on the other side.
I've had a long-standing relationship with all of my guys.
We don't have to mention no names.
No, I'm transparent, man. I've had a long-standing relationship with all of my guys. I've never started training somebody and then stopped training them and they went to another guy.
Right.
But I've had my heart. I think that when you take a loss in boxing, you get like post-traumatic stress syndrome, man. I don't take losses well.
Facts.
It fucks me up, bro. Like it's like has affected my life. You know what I mean? So I know that feeling of being attached with a guy. You know what I mean? Like I got a pretty good record in boxing. You know what I mean? But Julian losing, that shit bothers me. You know what I mean? Especially when I know it's certain things that we could have done better. Karan losing, that really bothered me. You know what I mean? It really, really did. It bothered me in a way where I thought about it and I said, man, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be doing this because I have those kids spend the night at my house. They've been around my family. I got a different kind of relationship with them. So I haven't had a fighter leave me to break my heart, but the losses, man, they like I don't show it on TV or something, but I go home, I be fucked up, man. I'm not lying. It does something.
I had both. When Cintron lost to Margarito, I hurt for like 6 months, man. For real. I was like depressed. I was like, because
it affects your marriage and everything.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking, all right, we're going to be on a different level. Our financial income's going to be different. Everything's going to be different. I'm going to have to give up my business, and you start making these plans, and so you get heartbroken. And then I've had fighters who I've spent so much time with. When you go in on a Saturday, Sunday, and you spend so much time with them, the next thing you know, they leave, and you're thinking, hold on, man, do you know what I just gave you? Like, I took something away from my own personal life to come in here and spend time with you. So it's happened, and I think trainers, and I talked about this last week, trainers are the most underappreciated part of in boxing. Between trainers, managers, and promoters, trainers put in the most time and, physically put in the most time, but they're the most underappreciated.
And they're the most dispensable. When something goes wrong, the promoter don't lose their job, the manager don't lose their job. It's the freaking trainer. It's crazy, man. This is a thankless job. Hey, Marsh, let me tell you something, man. I always wanted to get 5 world champions, man. If I could get 3, I'm done. I mean that. I'm done. I'm gonna spend time with my kid. My daughter, man,
I don't believe it, because you're gonna want more. 3's not gonna be enough.
I mean, when those three careers end, or when they get championship, you're like,
no, Troy. Like when their career end, I'm telling you, Troy, the losses make me depressed.
That could be a long time. That could be a long time.
They make me depressed, man. I've shed tears. It has done, because I work, and everybody say that they work hard, man, but I put that work in, bro. I get up 4 in the morning to meet these boys at the track. I have them over my house. I make their meals. So when we lose, man, it's like a part of me. Like when Julian lost to Charlo, I was in Disney World with my kids the next week. Man, like I couldn't even have fun. I was like walking around like I was like high or something, because I couldn't like concentrate and jump on the rides with my kids, man. It was a bad feeling, man.
Don't let nobody say, "Oh, you're the one that trains Jay."
Oh my God. Oh my God. And then you got the motherfucking haters who can't get a dude to 10-0 telling you what you should be doing. It's crazy, man. I'm like, yo, Troy, listen, I'm telling you, bro, if I get 3 world champions, I'm done. I can't do it. Look at these grays in my beard, man.
Career ended, and they finished their careers with him.
Yeah, finished my careers, man. Look at my beard, man, bro. I had no grades a couple years ago. I can't do it, man. If Karan was scheduled for a nice big fight, he did good on that card, man. And we got Julian. He should be fighting the kid again or whatever. But the Corona screwed everything up. If I get them two over the top, man, and get one more, I'm out of here, man. I'm done with this, March. They can have it. They can have it, man.
It's not gonna happen because say Julian leaves and you got Karan and you got Zachary.
Mhm.
That's gonna bring other people to spar. That's gonna bring other people to interest, and you gonna start working. It'll never end until you're gonna have to walk away on somebody's career.
You know what, Troy? You might be right, but the way I feel now, I just want to put everything into those guys, man, and just spend time with my kids with their athletics because it wears me out to a point of like where it affects my personality. I get like I don't do well after losses. I just don't. You know what I mean? I'm messed up, man. I really, really am. And I'm so respectful to the way I feel when another coach loses. Like I'm scared to even call him to see how he doing because I know how like Marshall. I saw when Travis lost to Luis Ortiz out there in California a couple years ago. I was like I was gonna walk up and say something. I said, you know what? Let me just leave him alone because that's a lonely, terrible, terrible feeling, man.
Yeah.
And I know you know what it's like, Troy. It's the
Yeah.
I can't even explain. It's almost like we need a group to sit there.
And you don't know what to say to the trainer.
Yeah, man. I saw you after Travis lost. I just like, man, I just feel so horrible. Like I didn't even know what to say to you. I didn't even you didn't see me look at you. I didn't even make eye contact with you. I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, it's rough, man. I'll tell you what, but the one thing about this sport, it's hard to walk away from. It
I
honestly
know.
is, man. It gets in your blood. Look, we got Andrew addicted to it. You know what I mean? And Andrew's a doctor, and now he can't walk away from it.
Mhm. It is very addictive.
Well, I was addicted to it before that, but can I ask you guys a question we got on Facebook? This is kind of a fun question. So we talked about this last week on the show. There's news that Tyson might be coming back. He has a video out that Holyfield might be coming back. And so Kent Green asked, what do you guys think about Mike Tyson's recent training video? Have either of you guys seen that?
I seen it, man.
I just think it's just him playing with the guy in his den. That's what I think. I mean, Tyson's always going to look sharp. His hands going to look sharp. I watched Marshall on the bag. I mean, once you got it in you, your punch is going to look sharp. But that don't mean when I saw Marshall, I was like, man, I wonder if Marshall still could fight.
It looks good for 30 seconds, and that's it.
I mean, I don't think Tyson would. I mean, if he comes back, he has to come back and fight like a Shannon Briggs or Holyfield, which would be entertaining because of their ages and stuff. But as far as maybe him coming back for a Deontay or a Tyson Fury, I mean, anything's possible, man. But I mean, your body doesn't move like it used to move.
That's right.
And to be honest, I remember when he left. I mean, he was kind of fed up of it. You let somebody touch him a couple of times, his attitude would change.
Exactly.
There is no way he can come back and fight. People, we live in the age of the casual fan. He was shot 15 years ago. You don't get unshot 15 years later. All of the things he's done for the last 15 years, and people, when I see it, it's just ridiculous. Him hitting the pads.
And the pads don't hit back.
But Marsh, it's a God-given 30-second talent. He's going to look sharp doing that when he's 100 years old. Before he dies, he's going to be able to do that. That doesn't mean that he can fight a 12-round fight. When I'm hearing he could beat all the heavyweights, he was shot 15 years ago against Kevin McBride. How can he fight now?
Look, in my opinion, people, Mike deserves the credit he got, but Mike was exposed the minute when somebody stood up to him and hit him back, and that's what I saw in Mike,
I mean, I think he's a great fighter, but at 53 years old, if you stop fighting for 50.
Oh, somebody freeze.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, at 53 years old, man, when you stop fighting, and you've been retired for 15 years, coming back is dangerous. You know what I'm saying? It's dangerous. You talk about sparring, going through a camp. That's how guys get brain bleeds and stuff like that. He probably won't even get licensed. You know what I mean? I just think that the internet just eats that stuff up, and it goes to just show you his star power and where he was in his career, where he can get everybody riled up like that.
That's right. That's right.
I think if you match it up, like I said, a Shannon Briggs or somebody, it'll be entertaining. But as far as him making, and you have your argument that Foreman did it, and what I'm saying, he did it, but everybody's not going to be a Foreman, and everybody's not going to live that type of life.
He was younger though, Troy. He
Huh?
was way younger, and he wasn't out as long as Tyson was.
What did Foreman get it at, 40 or 50?
No, I think 41.
Foreman came back in 87, right? So Foreman was only 38 when he came back. Tyson is 53 years old. That's a huge difference. You know what I mean? And they fight two different styles. Tyson is short, so he's gonna have to have a lot of energy, man. And that's apples and oranges, man. Foreman was a lot younger and he's a lot bigger.
Well, not about him getting a world title, but do you think that you could get a competitive fight with him, like say a Holyfield or something? You got two shot guys. I mean, I ain't gonna call him shot. I'm just gonna say you got two guys beyond their prime. That it could be interesting. I can say that. But I mean,
go on the old tour and fight like Butterbean kind of guys and do that kind of stuff.
I mean,
he could have some fun with it. But when people say he would beat Wilder and Fury and all that, he can't mess with those young guys right now. You gotta leave that kind of stuff alone.
No, I agree. Look, if he wants to do this for entertainment and do a 4-round exhibition, hey, so be it. But don't even think about going in there and fighting a true fight with guys like Joshua, Wilder, and especially Tyson Fury. It just isn't happening.
If anybody had a puncher's chance, it's Mike Tyson. I'll say that. I mean, because I don't care what those mitts say. I'm sure he still can break a few jaws or two. So I mean,
for the first
30 seconds, for 30 seconds he'd be hell.
I'd give him a minute, Steve. That's about it.
Nah. Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, they better not treat him like he's a bum. You better still treat him like this is a high caliber fight. Then they'll destroy him. If they like, the old man, I got him. You guys in trouble that night.
No, I agree, Troy. You can't underestimate any man, but man, that's dangerous, man. When a dude coming back from 15 years, you know what I mean, at 53 years old, man, that's nothing to play with, man. You know what I mean? Boxing, where is that right now? If he comes back, whatever commission that licensed him, they stuff is on the line. You know what I mean? After the way he looked before he left, they gotta be careful with that.
Yeah, I can't see him being able to put his body through any sort of camp for a long enough time to get ready for a real fight. I just can't, I can't see that personally, but.
Not for a fight of that level, no. That's for
I
sure.
always felt, to be honest, I thought Tyson kind of messed up when he left Kevin Rooney. I think their chemistry together was some good chemistry, and I thought that's when he was at his greatest to me. The rest he just went off skill and stuff like that. He had, I mean, I don't even know. Can you name any of his trainers after a certain period of time?
Well,
Aaron Snowell.
He had
faces.
Tyson worked with Ronnie Shields and Freddie Roach. People don't remember that, but he did.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
He's had some good trainers, but I think you're right. I think the when he stopped working with Kevin Rooney, things kind of went down for him, but man, it's a lot to go into this, Troy. Women,
But when you
money.
talk about Tyson, see, the thing with Tyson was, to me, and this with a lot of guys get non-coaches or say promoters or financial backers behind them, and then they don't want intelligent coaches and stuff around boxing because they know they're going to counter like Ronnie Shields and Freddie Roach are probably gonna be like, hey, that doesn't even sound right. Nah, what's going on with this money? There's too much education around them. So they're gonna get a guy who's just happy with this check. All I need you to do is take him to the gym and shut up. Don't even talk boxing with him. You know what I'm saying? And the guy be like, all right, how much you gonna pay me? All right. But if you get anybody intelligent around them, sometimes those guys, they open up fighters' eyes. So people try to keep them away from him. That's why, I thought, he got rid of a lot of his trainers, and the other trainers were just guys that, would fill in.
I can see that, but you could tell that his work ethic kind of went down at a young age, man. And with his style, you got to put that work in the gym. You know what I mean? He started relying on a big punch and natural talent, and it caught up to him sooner than later. But I still think he had a great career. Was a great fighter.
Oh
But
yeah.
that was a long time ago.
Is
Anything
Tyson in
else
the Hall
there,
of Fame
Andrew?
yet?
Andrew, anything else there?
We got another question. I don't want to turn this into an all heavyweight thing, but another question about your predictions for Wilder Fury 3.
No comment.
Okay, you have to make a comment.
I'll be honest. I thought the first fight he lost. I still can't figure out. I watched it over and over. I mean, he knocked him down in 2 rounds, but the math didn't add up to me. I didn't see the rounds where he would have went to win the first time. I just think the style is different, and people don't realize that for the first time he's fighting a talented, taller guy, and he has to punch up. He's not getting that leverage that he punches down on. He has to punch up, and this guy and Tyson Fury can fight. He's a good fighter, to be honest. And this time he just went, and I thought, to be honest, I was right with Deontay when he said, "I'm gonna get you by this round." I was like, now you're stretching. I didn't think it was gonna happen like that, but he stood behind what he said, walked him down, and did everything he said. And it could have been, since we talking about trainers, he might have went to a guy and said, "Joe, why are you throwing your punches like that? And I've caught your right hand, man. You need to be walking these guys down, man. Instead of what you're doing." Because everybody was talking about the way he throws his punches. That you got to give what's the guy
Sugar Hill.
Yeah, you got to give his credit for what he did, because that wasn't any fight like Tyson Fury was used to fight. He came in there for business, and you had to be impressed by him. I just don't think styles make fight, and I think this is one style. I think Deontay Wilder will beat just about everybody else, Anthony Joshua and everybody else. But right now, Tyson Fury, I think he's going to be the man for a minute.
And Fury backed up his words too. He said he was going to do it, and that's exactly what he did.
I thought it was a con. I thought he was just trying to psych him out, and then he'd be like, "Man, I thought you were going to come at me, and now you running away." But nah, he came straight forward. So I give him his credit. I liked him before. I liked his boxing style. I watched him, and then I got really hip to him when he beat Klitschko. But other than that, that lifestyle, if he wouldn't have messed up that, with his other habits, this might have happened sooner.
I like his confidence more than anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, he can box, but I like his confidence even more than anything.
And that size. I don't know why anybody
6'9"
going 12 rounds at a certain weight would try to trim 30 pounds off. I don't know how he thought that was going to help him the first time. If he would have had that same weight, it'd have been a difference. It'd have been a whole difference the first fight.
Right.
Because he can fight at 270, you know what I'm saying, and go 12 without looking tired. He's gonna be hard to beat unless he beats himself.
Hey Steve, what's the plans for Julian? We know that he just came off of a disappointing loss. What's next?
Well, we got to figure out this corona, and he had surgery on both of his eyes. He has some scar tissue. So we got that cleaned up because he got cut during the fight. So we got the scar tissue cleaned up, and the plan was to be back in the ring by August, but with the corona, who knows when everything is gonna go. But the plan is to be back in the ring by August, and fight the kid again, and shock the world again, Marsh. Hopefully, the world don't hopefully everybody's schedule is not pushed back too far. You know what I mean? I feel blessed that all of my guys were able to get fights in 2020.
Right.
A lot of guys haven't fought yet, so at least my guys was able to get one check in. You know what I mean? With Kuko, Karan, Julian, and Zach all got fights in by March. So I just gotta wait and see right now. But it kind of works out for us. The other guys are eager to go, but with Julian specifically, it works out for him because nobody's fighting and his eyes are getting a chance to heal.
Correct.
So if it takes a little longer, then we might could go straight to the rematch.
Of course, everybody was disappointed. We all were there, and of course, it was very disappointing. And so let's hope that he heals up and he's back, and he has that opportunity to regain that title again.
Yep.
Which is good.
I want to give a plug. I didn't want to turn this whole thing tonight into talking to you about Julian, although that would be interesting. But You did an interview with Mike Woods that's in the Ring magazine about that fight. I think it came out around February. I read it the other day.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody's watching and they're interested in, just a great interview. I thought just a real honest interview. You talked about your disappointment and you were more honest, I feel like, than what a lot of trainers or managers you were just very honest about the fight, what your thoughts were on the fight and what you wanted to do moving forward. And it was a good interview. So if anybody is interested, go to the Ring website. And I think that's interview with Steve with Mike Woods from February, but a great interview.
You know what's funny, man? I got a lot of criticism for that interview, and all I did was, I was just honest and just told the truth, in a respectful way, man. But whatever, man, people always gonna have something to say, you know what I mean? So I just stay true to myself, man, and that's just that.
Yeah, no. Well, it shows, and that's why you are where you are today. In my opinion, one of the best trainers in boxing.
Appreciate that, Marsh. Really
Seriously.
do.
And it's been a pleasure having both of these excellent trainers on. Look, any insight, if you have to tell, we're going to end with this. If there's anything you have to tell young trainers, what would you tell them? Troy, we'll start with you and we'll finish with you, Steve.
I just say, man, it's a long road, and be patient. Don't get so excited. I mean, because a lot of guys get so excited at a 13-year-old that they push them away. Look, there's a lot of growth. You got a long time to go, especially me and amateur. To me, amateur boxing and professional boxing are almost two different sports, to be honest. I mean, amateur gives you that guideline, that feel, but everybody has to make some adjustments when it comes to going pro, because you can't afford, with that headgear on, you can afford to take about 3 shots going in there. With that headgear off, that 1 shot going in there might make a difference. So, I just tell them, take your time, man. Don't press a kid out. Just see where it leads. You know what I'm saying? And you want to be a firm coach, but you don't want to be the type of coach that just runs everybody away.
Steve?
Couple of things. One thing I would say, the number one thing is, don't let the opinions of others affect your opinion of yourself. Because people will tell you that you can't do this and you can't do that, and your guy that you're training is not good, and all these different things, and they're projecting their insecurities on you. If I would have listened to people, I would have never got as far as I have in this game. And the second thing is that your label may be called a trainer, but you're gonna be much more than a trainer to these guys. You're gonna be a mentor, you're gonna be a financial advisor, you're gonna be a dietitian, you're gonna be a counselor, you're gonna have to really, really make yourself a better person in order to train a fighter, because it's much more than just training a guy for an hour and a half, 2 hours in the gym. You know what I mean? You gotta really, really, really be a true good person in order for a young man to allow you to lead him in the battle like that. You know what I mean? And that's really important. A lot of guys don't get that. They think when they leave the gym that it's over, but it ain't over. You know what I mean? Marsh, an 8-week camp, a lot of things happen. You know what I mean? So if a young trainer, if he gets those 2 things down, believes in himself, he'll be okay if he got the right horse in the race.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Andrew, you want to close us out?
Well, I wanted to just call attention to something that Troy said earlier. I thought it was one of the smartest things I heard in a while. You said a fighter that may have some losses is an easier fighter to train, or they might be a better listener. And it's remarkable when you think that Mike was 40-60 as an amateur, and now he's 22-1 as a pro, and just beat the gold medalist in the last Olympics. And so that's a great story, man. Just encouraging, for guys to stick with the sport. And if you do listen, you have a good coach and a good structure in place, you can still go really far. I thought that was cool. So thanks both of you for coming on. 2 of the best in the sport. It's been a pleasure.
Man,
appreciate that, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you. Have a good night.
All right.